Have you ever thought about what's really going on with America's gold reserves? I mean, there's over 8,000 tons supposedly tucked away, but it's been ages since anyone's actually laid eyes on it.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Don't be totally surprised. We open the door, we'll say, there's nothing here. They stole this too.
We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there, because maybe somebody stole the gold. We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon.
It makes you wonder, right? Let's take a closer look together at the fascinating history, the controversies, and all the wild theories that are swirling around about America's gold. Gold has always been a symbol of wealth and stability. In America, it carries a heavy weight. The idea that the US has over 8,000 tons of gold stored away is both fascinating and perplexing. So, what does all of this actually mean for us today? How did we end up in this situation? Let's take a deeper look at the story behind America's gold reserves. A brief history of U.S. gold acquisition. The journey of U.S. gold begins in the 1930s. It was a time of great economic turmoil. President Franklin Roosevelt took a bold step during the Great Depression. He ended the gold standard for citizens and required Americans to hand over their gold. This was not just a simple request, it was an executive order. People were forced to trade their gold coins and bullion for paper dollars. This move was controversial, but it resulted in a massive influx of gold into the U.S. Treasury. Fort Knox, built in 1936, became the iconic vault for this gold. By the late 1940s, America had amassed an unprecedented amount of gold. At its peak, the U.S. held about 23% of the world's gold. This was a time when gold was more than just a commodity. It was a pillar of the global monetary system. Fast forward to the 1960s and 1970s. The landscape began to change. The U.S. found itself running trade deficits. Countries that had previously trusted the U.S. dollar began to ask for their gold back. Slowly but surely, the gold reserves started to dwindle. By 1971, things took a drastic turn. President Nixon closed the gold window, meaning that the dollar was no longer convertible to gold. This was a pivotal moment in financial history. Suddenly, gold was no longer tied to the dollar. The U.S. held on to what gold it had left, but the trust began to fade. People started questioning whether the gold was really there or if it had been secretly removed. The rise and fall of gold reserves tell a story of economic power and vulnerability. Getting rid of the gold standard was a major change. It meant that the dollar was just paper money, not backed by gold anymore. Because of this, the value of the dollar relied more on how much people trusted it rather than on something real. This change gave the government more freedom in managing money, but it also made people wonder about our gold reserves. Since the dollar isn't backed by gold anymore, many people started to wonder what that meant for gold's value in the future. Would it still be worth anything? Gold remains a symbol of stability, even if it no longer backs the currency directly. The shift away from the gold standard changed how we view money and value. These days, the Federal Reserve is super important for our economy. It manages money supply, sets interest rates, and helps keep everything stable. But what about gold? The truth is, the Federal Reserve doesn't directly own gold anymore. All the gold was turned over to the Treasury back in 1934. However, the Fed holds a gold certificate from the Treasury, representing the nation's gold stock. Even though the US dollar isn't backed by gold, the reserves still hold significance. They are a hedge against inflation and currency risk. If you enjoyed this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional great content. Why gold still matters? So, why does gold still matter in today's economy? For many, it's about trust and stability. Gold is seen as a safe haven during times of economic uncertainty. When the markets get shaky, people often turn to gold as a protective measure. It's a tangible asset that has held value for centuries. Moreover, gold can also represent potential wealth. If the U.S. were to mark its gold reserves to current market prices, it could significantly boost the Treasury's assets. This could provide a way to address national debt and create a more stable economic environment. Yet, the question remains, why hasn't this been done? There's a lot of chatter about the gold reserves. Some people think the government might not have all that gold. Others believe it's safely stashed away, just not where we think. A lot of these theories pop up because of the lack of transparency surrounding the gold. People want to know what's really going on. One popular theory is that the gold in Fort Knox isn't all U.S. gold. During the World War era, many countries stored their gold in Fort Knox for safekeeping. This makes people wonder if the remaining gold might really belong to those countries. Then there are whispers about the gold being secretly removed. Some say that past presidents like Lyndon B. Johnson might have shipped tons of gold overseas. Whether true or not, these stories fuel public intrigue and skepticism. The biggest red flag is the lack of proper audits. The last comprehensive check was over 70 years ago. Sure, there have been spot checks, but nothing that truly reassures the public. The government insists the gold is there, but without a thorough audit, who really knows? People want to see transparency. It's not just about checking boxes, it's about trust. The government could easily put these theories to rest with a proper audit. Public skepticism is at an all-time high. People are questioning everything. Many feel uneasy about the lack of visibility into the gold reserves. It's not just about the gold itself, it's about what it represents. When officials say everything is fine, it doesn't always feel convincing. The government has a history of not being completely transparent. This makes it hard for people to take their word for it. Public trust is crucial, and right now it's being tested. Some lawmakers have even pushed for more transparency. They see the value in addressing these concerns, but the pushback from the government is strong. Right now, we're seeing some interesting trends in the gold market. The trade war has stirred up a lot of uncertainty. Gold prices are fluctuating, and banks are reacting. They're moving gold bars from London to New York. This is all part of a strategy to make profits amidst the chaos. JP Morgan and HSBC have been busy flying gold across the pond. They're trying to take advantage of price differences. It's not just about the gold, it's about making smart financial moves. But why are they moving so much gold if everything is fine? These actions suggest deeper market issues. When banks move gold, it shows their lack of confidence, increasing public anxiety about reserves. Even Elon Musk has jumped into the conversation. He suggested live streaming the gold vaults. It's a bold idea, but it reflects the public's desire for transparency. If someone like him thinks it's necessary, maybe it's time to seriously consider it. At the end of the day, we need clarity regarding gold reserves, which symbolize trust and stability. Without proper audits and transparency, trust fades, and the government must act quickly to address public concerns. If you're excited to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.